Hi, this is Pat Duckworth, the author of Hot Women Rock, How to Discover Your Midlife Entrepreneurial Mojo. And my speaker this week is my interviewee this week, but I've let it out. She's a speaker. Is somebody that I first met in Las Vegas 2 years ago and caught up with in London this year and thought we just have to talk. So my guest today works magic with images for those of us who want to stand out in the world. She recognizes compelling and compassionate photography speaks to us in ways we could never speak out loud. Picture says 1,000 words. She's an author, consultant, and professional photographer for businesses and individuals who want to leave a remarkable legacy with stories and images. She also uses photography as an Alzheimer's advocate to raise awareness, knowing the more we understand, the less we will fear. That's important work these days. And this is how she uses photography to make the world a better place. So it's a big welcome to Carmen Davailus. Hi, Carmen, how are you?
Hi, Pat. Great to speak with you. It seems like just yesterday I was there, but can you believe it's been 2 months? So
I know, time just flies, doesn't it? And we had such a good time there at Public Speakers Association. So let's dive in, Carmen. I want to know all about you and about your history. So what did you do when you first left college?
okay, so I was actually a music major. And I wanted to compose, and I was really pretty good. But after the first semester, some family changes and things, and I thought, I need to get a degree that I can make a living and quick. And I had been working as a nurse's aide since I was 15. And so I got enrolled into nursing college, nursing school, and was able to finish in a couple years, and finished with an RN before I was even 21. I was 20. Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kept thinking I would go back to some of the creative work, but I really made a lifelong career of it, 40 years, and just kept going to school and got a master's and became a nurse practitioner for 20 years. And so that, I did creative stuff within the field, but I remained as a nurse.
So did you specialize in anything particular while you were nursing?
Yeah, interesting. The first half was mostly pediatrics and, younger and family. And my nurse practitioner is a family nurse practitioner, but I specialized in the elderly. And then the last decade was really those with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. So
Yeah.
neurology, geriatric psychiatry, things like that.
And a lot of people would think that that might be really depressing. I just wonder how you found it.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. And a lot of times the best we have to offer as providers are our attention and our loving energy and seeing what we could do to support them, because what a tough journey for the caregivers and for the people who are diagnosed with the disease. And so, I'm all about stories and relationships. So for me to really get to dive in and to be present for people and to help them with their tough situation, I saw the beauty in that, as tough as it was. And
Yeah.
it was tough, but
And then you made a big change.
I did. I did. It's crazy, really, but it all makes sense when you say from nurse practitioner to photographer. It sounds wacky, right? Like, how did that happen? But it was kind of a natural transition from that, loving those stories. And I just thought, someone needs to tell the story, these families, their stories. And because I thought if the world could hear what the families are going through and how they manage and cope and succeed, then we would have a lot less of the petty stuff going on in our lives. And it just hit me one day that I needed to do that, and I couldn't imagine doing it without photos, without images, which was another crazy thought. Why would you want to photograph people at this time of their lives? Well, it ended up just being this really beautiful transition for me, but that's how I went from nursing to photography. And then I realized it's about the stories, and then it became about my story, and it just evolved from there. First of all, there were 13 families I followed for about 3 years, and they all kind of said the same thing. We really don't care about the photos, but we love you and we'll do it for you because we want their story to get out. I said, okay, humor me, let me do it. And then each and every one, those images, because I printed out 8x10s and matted them and gave them as gifts, and they like clung to those literally and just like, these are priceless to us, and even more so once their loved one passed. And when I speak publicly about that piece of my work, that humanitarian side of it, there's always some people really crying hard. And at first I thought maybe the topic is just so touching, and but when they came up to me, they're like, each one had wished they had taken photos before, and it was that they would want them, but they really, really wish they had them.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me more about how you set up then as a photographer and made it your business.
Yeah. So, what I needed to do was I had done a lot of photography through my life, but never hardly even took a class. I was kind of naturally taught. And I thought, well, I really need to learn this if I'm going to put them in a book. Somehow I thought I was good enough to put my photos in a book. I'm like, well, I better prepare. I'm going to get prepared. so I took some courses, and I really have a good natural eye and a good eye for the story and an image. And so then I realized that, we all have stories, and we all have really like a message to get out there. And the more that I told my story, the more others saw that. And, of course, in today's world of social media, that's really all about the stories, right? And how we present ourselves. And having gone through that, I realized I'm really good at helping people do that. How do they show up? How do they show up? What do they look like? What story do they want to tell?
So what was the challenge for you in becoming an entrepreneur and a business owner?
I had never done anything with business. The challenge was everything. I had never attended a networking meeting. I mean, I worked in the clinic. I showed up for work. I did my job, and after 12 hours, I went home. And and all of it was new to me. And so probably the grace of God, I went in totally naive, or else I probably wouldn't have done it, not knowing how much I had to learn. And so I surrounded myself, and I was really blessed with people who came into my life that could help me with some of that and guide me.
Obviously, I've seen you speaking a couple of times. Is public speaking, something you enjoy doing now?
Oh, I enjoy it a lot, but that was new also. I had spoken at nursing conferences here and there, but that's completely different. And it tends to be a little bit more dry and state the facts, your research. And once I got a chance to be a bit more entertaining, that was a lot more fun. That was a transition too, a real transition.
Yeah, well, you seem to enjoy it now. You having fun on stage in London anyway.
I do.
Excellent. So this is Pat Duckworth. I'm talking to Carmen Davailus, who is near Austin, Texas, out in the countryside there, and she's a photographer and an author, and does a lot of work with families who are going through the experience of Alzheimer's. So tell me a bit more about your passion now. What really motivates you in your business?
Yeah, so one of the things I have learned when you talk about what did I learn with business and things, and one, especially with how important, and I'll go back to the social media piece, but how we show up, our presence online. Because, most people before they hire us or even give us a call, they check out our social media channels. They go to Facebook and Instagram or LinkedIn, and they're going to judge based on what they see there, whether to take the next step or not. because we can easily, and I call it cyber stalking, but it's not, police are not involved. It's like, we're doing our due diligence and looking at people and what are they doing and what do they stand for. And they're really looking at what we refer to as branding, those of us in business, that they're looking for, like, what is this person really about? Because they have a choice in who they do business with. And most people want to do business with people that they like and trust, and they might see something of themselves. And so it becomes even more important then for those of us in business to be out there and to be real, so that we can attract the people that we want to attract. And
so I've got a little bit of a bee in my bonnet, which is about, do you say that in America? Do you say having a bee in your bonnet?
Not too much, but I understand.
You can understand that having a bee in your bonnet would be a little bit irritating.
Yeah.
So it's about people not updating their pictures, and you see them and you think, oh, okay, and then you go out to meet them somewhere and you can't find them because they look so completely different. And of course with women, because we change our hair, whether it gets lighter because the hair fairy comes to visit us, or the different styles that we have, that's one thing. But if a picture is 5 to 10 years out of date, you've moved on.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So, Pat, it's a way deeper issue, because I don't talk about women because I'm not a man, so I don't know that for sure. But a lot of women, we are so self-conscious about how we look, and concerned, and that we're never enough, or never quite look pretty enough or smart enough, or just fill in the blank. It's just not enough. And so the question becomes, well, how do I show up? And, I have people who are so tied to, let's say, a really grainy, dark picture of them that was taken with the cell phone, with someone else is in the picture, and they kind of crop them out and they go, because I really liked my smile in that one. And they don't want to give it up, but it doesn't say anything about them at all, except that they would post a dark picture of a cell phone which is probably not the image that they want to come across in their business. And that becomes the question. And, I don't think I realized even how important it was until I really had to go to networking meetings. And it was hard for me. Believe me, I knew the exits, and I knew how I could sneak out. Like, I'm supposed to run to the restroom, and then I'm like, I don't have to go back if I don't want to. And I give myself a pep talk in there and just go back. Because it is hard to just be vulnerable and meet people. And but after a while, and I would show up, and people I never met would say, oh my gosh, you're that Carmen.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, I hope it's for a good reason. You know me. And they're like, oh, I see you online. I see you on Facebook, and I love this and I love that. That people are looking. We just don't realize how much. And
Absolutely.
So then I start asking, like, well, what is it that you liked? And it's the ones with me being me, kind of goofy and what have you. It's not the perfect ones at all. It's the ones where I would say I'm just being me.
I loved the one that you took of me in London, where I'm running onto the stage holding my iPad, because I just look like I'm having so much fun, which I was. And it's not the perfect image of me, but it is absolutely perfect, because I think it totally captured how I was feeling in that moment. That's why I'm using it as my Facebook picture at the moment, because it's just fun.
It just captures it, right? It's you. And I call that, we're perfectly imperfect, and nobody's perfect. So the images that we're most attracted to are the ones that we relate to. And those are the ones that are not perfect, because we're like, oh, she's like me. So. Yeah.
No, I totally get that. That's lovely. And as part of the Alzheimer's work, you use dogs as well, don't you?
I do. So, that's part of the branding work too. And so a portion of every one of my photo shoots goes toward Families for Alzheimer's. So I'll say that. And that's, I looked and like, well, how do I gift them the photos? And in talking with them too, it became very clear that loneliness and being stigmatized or treated differently because of the Alzheimer's that left them really isolated. And, I thought back and, years of nursing like that, I remembered a time when breast cancer was never talked about. Yeah. It was kind of, we didn't want to, and, now it's commonplace, but there was a transition of talking about those stories and bringing it to light. And there was a huge push for awareness so that women going through that didn't feel that sense of isolation and loneliness. The same thing needs to happen with Alzheimer's because and it's an epidemic. More and more people are impacted, and it's a big problem of loneliness and isolation, and how depression and loneliness can affect a body more or as much as a disease. It is powerfully harmful. So I thought, well, what do people look for in images? Where do we stop to go like, oh, that's cool. Dogs and cats. So I thought, yeah, and there's that unconditional love and playfulness when you add a dog to any situation, so I looked for families who, number one, really valued the photography piece and wanted photos of their loved one. Number two, knew of a dog or had a dog and were cool with that. And number three, were totally on board about being advocates, because make no mistake, families become advocates. The whole goal is for those images to go viral. So the dogs really increased the viewership by like 500% a month. I mean,
huge.
Huge.
So Carmen, tell me, what does success mean to you now?
Yeah, I think that's probably different than it used to be. I can't remember, to tell you the truth, what I thought it was. Even it feels like a lifetime ago, but it's been 3 years. For success for me now is coming into my own and being really happy in my own skin, and just doing what I really love to do and finding a way to make a living and take care of myself doing that. And I continue to grow, but I'm also content where I am. So I'm always looking forward, but I'm really grateful for it right now too.
And any top tips for new entrepreneurs who are watching?
There's I heard this saying, and that you're basically the sum total of the 5 people that you hang around. And so take real good care in who you go to for business advice and who you hang out with in general, because there were a handful of really wonderful women who became advisors, but were friends first, who became friends and said, yeah, let's just help you out with this a little bit, because I was really lost. And through them, I met others, but had I not started that, then it wouldn't have continued to grow the way it has. And I look back at those core of women and I'm just so grateful. So that's for sure one thing.
No, that's really good advice, because I took that on board when I heard a coach say, who you spend time with is who you become. And that's true in so many ways. And it's so important whose energy you allow into your life. You want it to be good and positive, and the sort of people who will support you. And, they're the ones who will applaud you when it goes well. And if it doesn't go as well as you thought, they'll be there for you. Those are the sort of people that you want in your life.
Right.
Excellent. So people watching, if they want to find out more about you, your photography, the dementia work, give us all the links.
Okay, so my favorite 2 social medias, the one I do the most on, is Facebook, and it's under Carmen's Legacy Productions. Or if you look up Carmen's Legacy, it'll pop up. So Facebook for sure, and you'll see links to the doggies for dementia on there too. And Instagram, I'm doing a lot more with Instagram and the stories and all of that, and just updated my own branding. So it's kind of cool to see where I'm going with that. Let's just say bubblegum and a lot of pink are involved.
I've seen those pictures. They're looking a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. Yeah, so I thought my personality is coming out. So Instagram, again, is Carmen's Legacy Productions, or if you just see Carmen's Legacy, it pops up. And those are the two best ways to get in contact with me. I have a web page, but honestly, you know, it's the social media that people go to more. So
yeah, sure. When I post this up, Carmen, I'd love you to put some of your pictures in the comments so people can see some of the fun that you've been having. And if you want to include some of those with the doggies, that's all good.
I'd love to. I'd love to. Yeah. Yeah, they're slowly leaking out, you know. I've got a strategic plan.
So it's great talking to you. What have we learned today? We've learned that you can become an entrepreneur at any age. And I don't know how many times I say that, but you can see, you know, Carmen's background, you would think, how did she make that shift? But she was really using a talent that she already had to move into doing the photography, and using the business as well to help do that philanthropic work around dementia. Because, you know, when you've got a passion, the photography is part of the passion, but the helping others is also part of that passion. And who you spend time with is who you become. Be careful about the people that you let into your life and into your business. And your branding as well. Think about your branding. Are your photographs up to date? Do they represent who you are? Do they show something of your personality and your character? Really important so people can connect with you. Thank you so much, Carmen. It's been such a delight talking to you.
Thank you, Pat. It's been a blast.
And to everybody watching, keep watching out for more of these wonderful conversations with amazing entrepreneurs. I'll see you next time.